How's it going, everyone? Rogue here. So in today's video, we're going to piggyback off of Rogue Gold and Abrax Gaming on should classified gear sets make a return to the franchise, right? So with that being said, I'm also going to touch on the exotics as well. And we're going to do a recap of Division 1 in the mix as well. So any of these things, if they were to come back, I would possibly say would depend on the success of Title Update 13 when it comes out late this year. And if it's successful, and then Ubisoft were to give Yannick and the team more resources going forward, and we've got a TU13 in a year's time, obviously depending on what talent changes and balancing they do already, bring back or make some changes to bring back some old things that the community wants back, like talents across all gear. Now, in the Division 1, obviously, we had the benefit of that. When the Division 2 launched, we had that until Gear 2.0. But, you know, talents like Brutal, Deadly, Unforgiving, Responsive, Nimble, when it actually worked, Rejuvenate, examples like that, you could probably bring them back slightly reworked to the Division 2. And they would probably be really, really good. Now, the example of, like, for the weapons alone, like Responsive, doing extra 10% extra weapon damage when you were, I think it was within 10 meters of an enemy or 5 meters. That could be really good for PvP, especially with how quick the time scale is. And it would probably make conflict matches bit more interesting, a bit more direct instead of spawn camping. You know, bring back weapons where you can have 3 talents again, like Deadly increase your crits, Brutal increase your headshot damage, Unforgiving, the more health segments were missing, the more damage you did. So Unforgiving could be reworked to the more armor and health you're missing, the more damage you do before you go down. You know, something like that could be interesting. I will definitely try and aim this video towards Yannick when it's live. Now, we'll talk about exotics now. So, obviously, there's players that want some exotics from Division 1 to return and gear set pieces, right? Now, if you were like me back in Division 1 during 1.7, running like 5-piece exotic builds with the gear alone not factored in the weapons, you can have so much fun, right? Like, the Skull MC gloves give you extra weapon damage, but it's stipulated in the talent that you could not use any gear set pieces, right? To gain that talent to be active. Joe Ferris mask, when you're on fire, just like, say, CC builds in Division 2 right now, instead of being under a status effect and you having to hit fire because you can't ADS, then you'd be able to ADS and still shoot, but you're still taking the damage on regardless, right? So you still have to heal and shoot. You could bring that back. Maybe Barrett's mask slightly reworked. That would be really, really cool. The short bow knee pads where, you know, you can cook the grenade time quicker for when you throw it and it goes off. They could be interesting, like for a raid build, anything like that. Legendary, you name it. You could probably make it work in anything. The reworked Ninja Bike backpack by 1.8, that could offer a lot more build diversity going forward. Activating another brand set unlock or a gear set unlock. I genuinely think like you could make a few more interesting builds with that there if that was reintroduced. And that's probably one of the main exotics the community really wants back. And I would definitely urge for that consideration of it to come back, because if you can use, let's say example, right, 2 brand set pieces, Ninja Bike, that unlocks a 3. Use another 1 piece to unlock a 2, another 2 piece to unlock a 3. You could make quite interestingly some different variety of builds, right? And you know, that would definitely change how PvE plays, and it would then make a knock-on effect how PvP plays. Now, especially if you saw my reply from Yannick during the course of last week, that would make some good knock-on effects, again, if everything's balanced accordingly. Now, this is where we're going to move into the gear sets alone, right? Well, no, quickly, just before that. Same with exotic weapons from Division 1. Don't bring something like the M1A back. That was called the Historian. That fired explosive rounds when the Ravenous and the Merciless do that. You could bring one or two back that were unique with their talents that some of the exotics in Division 2 don't actually have. So you could bring the House back that has one half the magazine doing increased damage and the other one not. It would bring an option between the Chatterbox and the House. You could bring the exotic from Mass back, the Bullfrog, where if you have a lot of stability and accuracy mods on your gear and the weapon, then the weapon talent is nullified. So you'd actually have to master the recoil of the weapon itself. You know, there's a plethora of some there that you could bring back, and you wouldn't have to rework them that much. But now we're going to go into the gear sets. So, when the gear sets were first introduced in the Division 2, they were 6-piece when Dark Hours first came out. Now, they weren't really good. I mean, you could make them work, but they weren't great. And the community didn't really like them. And it took some time later for the change to happen. So I remember Frederick Thailand had put out a tweet, and he asked the community, would we want the 6 pieces reverted to a 4? And overwhelmingly, the community were like, yes, make it happen, please. But there was a knock-on effect to Gear 2.0 that we didn't foresee coming with that. And that was the 4-piece talent being stripped in half. So you still needed the 4-piece to activate the overall set. But the chest and the backpack, the talent was split in half. Now, what I would suggest going forward, and if this doesn't happen with Title Update 13, potentially Title Update 14, on depending if the success of the Year 3 content works and Ubisoft gives massive more resources, change the gear sets to how they used to work, right? So they don't have a chest and backpack talent. That's gone. The 4-piece is that. You have to commit to the 4-piece. That's got a knock-on effect to classifieds, where the 5th piece would be an extra attribute stat on top of the 3 piece, or the 2 and 3, and the 6 to make the 4, and then the 6 piece gives the 4 some extra power. Now, or you could add whatever you wanted there. But don't let the 6 piece, if you were to introduce classifieds down the line, nullify the 4 piece. No, keep the 4 piece as it would be, but then improve upon that as the 6. And that would probably work. Obviously, I think anything like this would be more in a year's time with another title update, if it were to happen. And it would just be how the game currently goes with the current balancing, with how the team does it. Because anything that I say now, right, obviously will affect PvP. Well, it will affect the PvE mainly, and then it will affect the PvP. So if anything like this could happen, yes, it would need longer development time and testing. But I'd be all for that if something like this were to happen. Especially like, again, the Ninja White Backpack, letting the brand sets and the gear sets work in tandem, where, you know, you can get more out of it for more build diversity now, because that is something seriously lacking in the game. And obviously, I'm no scientist, I'm no brains with numbers, and obviously the team has all the statistics there on what gets used the most. So maybe something like that could work for especially brand sets that don't get used. And even when Title Update 13 does come out, if they make changes and to those sets that don't get used and they still don't get used, well, maybe this might help with that. Now, let me know in the comments down below what you think. Obviously, I've had on the screen the gear sets, the full list from Division 1 and Division 2 on the screen during the course of the video. Let me know what you think down below. Should they reintroduce more gear sets from the past, but not have them nerfed into the ground and actually work like they should. Let me know down below. And I'll look forward to seeing your comments later. Anyway, that's me done. Laters. See you next Division 2 video.